What's going on, everybody? V-Style Boxing here. We got a loaded panel tonight. It's going to be a Christmas carol, ladies and gentlemen. A lot to talk about. I'm being joined by Maestro A and Kenny T from Mano a Mano Live. Make sure you check them out. Check out Knocked Out by Kenny, new YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. We got Boxing Dev making her return to the round table. Make sure you subscribe to her channel as well. We got the Shoe Shine, the one and only 408 in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Catch the Shoe Shine after Power Punchers every Monday. That's at the Shoe Shine Boxing here on YouTube. Joe Habib from Ringside Reporter, the second half of Ringside Reporter with his co-host, the one and only Eric Lord. As a shout out to them every Sunday. And of course, Mario Munguia in the building. Right? I'm feeling festive, ladies and gentlemen. I'm feeling, I'm feeling the vibe, the Christmas spirit, the holiday spirit. Kenny's outside in the snow just to do the show. All right. We got 408, probably got the tequila ready with the Santa Claus hat, the whole nine. Okay. It's cold in El Paso. What can I say? All right. And of course, Maestro in the city that never sleeps. And we're even, the party goes all the way to Buenos Aires, Argentina. Let's go ahead and get this one started. All right. Now, me personally, I've already done these two awards on HCP. You guys can check it out with myself and my co-host Nancy. But I'm going to go ahead and ask the panel here. We're going to start with Maestro. Maestro, who is the Grinch that stole boxing, and who is the Santa Claus of boxing 2021?
Well, I kind of feel like I'd like to say two names, but I know D-Style's going to come at me if I say two names and I don't go with one. So I'm going to say Leonard Ellaby. This dude is stopping so many fights from taking place. Anytime someone brings up a name that's even slightly competitive and mentions him as a possible opponent for Tank, nobody knows that guy. We're not going to put him in against that guy. Who's that guy? Nobody knows him. He doesn't sell pay-per-views. Tank is a pay-per-view star. And logic would usually dictate if you're a star, you could fight anybody and do good numbers, right? But apparently not, right? Because LRB needs an A side to go along with the A+ side, hence the Isaac Cruz fight, right? So, because apparently guys like Josh Taylor aren't recognizable enough to get a shot at Tank. So I would definitely go, I have to say, stole Christmas, it's LRB, because when you think about all of the good fights that Tank could be in, that he's not in, they're robbing us and they're robbing him of really great opportunities to show how great he is.
Okay, all right. And who's the Santa Claus, bro? Who's giving to the sport? You know what I mean? Who gave more to the sport? 2021.
Well, I'm gonna drop a name that all of you know. He's a guy who inherited a boxing promotion from his dad, and unlike people, like George W. Bush Jr., they can't seem to run a business that's handed off to them, whether it's a baseball team or an oil company that runs them into the ground. This gentleman took the promotional outfit to new heights. Put Canelo on a platform that we can pay a bulk fee to for the whole year and consume great boxing content for a flat, low fee. I'm obviously talking about Eddie Hearn. Continues to put on big fights. Continues to, to the detriment of Joshua, put Joshua on these huge stages where he then gets beat. First it was Madison Square Garden, then it was Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Usyk, that was a tremendous performance. I could talk about a lot of Matchroom cards that have been really, really good all year, but definitely DAZN is my favorite boxing broadcaster, and my favorite promoter right now is Matchroom and Eddie Hearn. So they're giving.
Eddie Claus, you know what I mean? We should change his name, you know what I mean? And also, we're also being joined, guys, by the host of the Good Boxing Podcast. How you doing, brother?
Doing pretty well. Sorry, I had some camera issues. So
it's all good, brother.
Just
all
got
right,
it.
Everybody, follow Good Boxing Podcast on Instagram. I want to go to you, brother. Who is the Grinch that stole boxing of 2021? And who is the Santa Claus of boxing 2021, in your opinion?
In my opinion, the Grinch of boxing right now has to be Ryan Kavanaugh in the Triller camp. I feel like Triller has been a disaster. In my opinion, their main reason why poor Teofimo Lopez, I mean, George Gamboso, shout out to him, great performance, but they really killed his momentum and potentially may have derailed his, potential superstardom, in my opinion. Then, in terms of Santa Claus, I gotta agree with Maestro. Eddie Hearn's been putting on tremendous shows, and truthfully, I might even say Bob Arum stepped up his game. Top Rank's been putting up some good shows. The fact that they collaborated with Sean Porter for that Terence Crawford and Sean Porter fight, that was major. You got the Undisputed and Josh Taylor. That was a great fight with Jose Ramirez. The show with Josue Vargas and Jose Cepeda, great show. And you got really hot prospects like Xander Zayas, et cetera, really shaking up the game. Loma's back. So Top Rank is putting on some good shows.
All right. Okay. And of course, we have the shoe. And thanks for that, brother. Good call. Uncle Bob. Bob has so much money. I think he has a house in the North Pole. You know what I mean? but Shoe Shine, talk to us, brother. Who's the Grins that stole boxing? Okay, don't say me, please. I didn't steal anything. Okay, and who's the Santa of boxing?
All right. I'm going to agree with Maestro on this one because undoubtedly for me, the Grinch in boxing this year is Leonard Ellerbe because he's taking directly from the fans of boxing. He's taking at least $80 a shot every time Tank Davis fights, perpetrating this continuous fraud that Tank and his fights are pay-per-view worthy. Even though the Isaac Cruz fight turned out to be quite an exciting fight, I don't think I would have paid for it, and I didn't pay for it, and he continues to pull a fast one on all boxing fans that Tank's fights are worthy of $80 out of your pocket. Now, as far as the gift that keeps on giving, I would like to go with a promotional company, but this time I'm going to honor a Bay Area guy who has Bay Area roots, and that is the second oldest active champion in Nonito Donaire, who at 39 years old has knocked out everyone he faced in 2021. Very impressive. There is no
Bay Area definitely needs some wins, you know what I mean? And so you definitely give guys a lot of gifts, for sure.
So I have to say, Nonito Donaire is the gift that keeps on giving, just like the Energizer Bunny. And I'm excited to see if he gets this rematch in 2022 against Inoue the Monster.
Hey, let's do it. Boxing Dev, same question to you. Tell us, who's the Grins that stole boxing, right? And who's the Santa Claus of boxing?
Okay, the Grinch was the judges with the horrible cards, with the horrible scores at the end of the best fights we ever seen, like Brian Castaño and Jermel Charlo. It was a really close fight, but one of the cards was 117, 111. So that was horrible. That it doesn't represent what happened in the fight. And then the Santa Claus was, in my opinion, PBC. PBC always give us the best shows ever. In my opinion, they should include many women's fighting there, but I think the Santa Claus was PBC because all of the fights that I saw on PBC was the best, and they don't make you wait. The song make you wait a lot to see the fight or something like that. It's horrible in my opinion. So PBC, it was Santa Claus.
All right, well, man, you see, we got all types of opinions here. Beeb, who is the Grinch that stole boxing 2021? Who's the Santa Claus of boxing?
I was going to say PBC is the Grinch because they're charging me for the air I breathe, man. All these pay-per-views that I got to buy, man. I just spent $600 this year on
I don't think their fights are on pay-per-view in Argentina. That's probably why. But
oh, is that what it is? I got to move over there.
I helped.
But I've been all these pay-per-views, and I'm gonna go one further than Eddie Hearn. I'm gonna say that the Zone in general has been Santa Claus. Look at all the fights they've given us, all the classic upsets that they've put on. The George Kambosos, Teofimo Lopez. We didn't expect that to be what it was, but even the Derek Chisora, Joseph Parker fight, it was kind of one-sided. But all these fights are entertaining. And these cards from top to bottom on the DAZN have been really good. So DAZN's been Santa Claus. PBC's been the Grinch, man. They're killing my bank account.
Damn, man. Hey, Mario Munguia.
Hey, guys. Happy holidays, first and foremost. Listen, I feel like I'm going to go with the Grinch first. It was Deontay Wilder, and that might be a hot take because at the end of the day, I don't want to say it's like a Grinch in the sense that he did something bad for him. He was trying for greatness, right? He was trying to reclaim what he did, but what he took from us was undisputed at heavyweight, something that hasn't even been close in terms of a competitive fight and things that we thought we would get, and it was stolen right from under us. That should have been the fight. In every single other sport, it makes sense when you get to the Super Bowl, when you get to the MLB World Series, when you get to the NBA Finals, the guy that beat the guy goes on, and the guy that beat the guy goes on the team, whatever. And then they fight or they play, whatever. And then a champion is crowned. It's the easiest, most comprehensible idea in all of sports. And yet for some reason in boxing, we keep getting it wrong. And, there are a lot of factors at play, and I don't want to make it seem like, it's one thing versus the other, but ultimately Undisputed was stolen. And now we don't even know if we're going to get another Undisputed fight in 2022 when it comes to the heavyweight division. So for those reasons, I think that Grinch a little harsh probably, but still I think that he definitely sold something from us. I also did want to add in the Casimiro Donaire. I won't go into it because there's a lot of stuff there, but I really wish we would have gotten that fight. And as far as the Santa, I know Maestro said it that I don't want D-Style to get mad for picking more than one, but I'm going to pick four for the same reason. Stephen Fulton, Brandon Figueroa, Angelo Leo, and Luis Neri gave fans something that very few fighters have ever given us, and that is conclusiveness. There have been tournaments in the past. We've had, the Super 6, Showtime's Bantamweight tournament, Boxino, World Boxing Super Series. But for these guys to commit to the series of fights with the quality of opposition that they would have had to face without the guarantee of prize money or a trophy or anything like that was remarkable. And if it wasn't a missed opportunity for Showtime to brand it with the tournament, fine. But at the end of the day, these guys did something that very few boxers have done in my 35 years, or I guess more like 25 years of watching the sport. And for that, they certainly should be commended.
All right. Kenny, talk to us, brother.
How's it going,
Grains
brother?
and Santa.
I got you, man. How's it going, brother? How's everybody doing? I'll start with the Grinch of the year. For me, the Grinch of the year is going to have to be Mayweather Promotions, a.k.a. the Money Team, a.k.a. this group of 3 or 4 people. Al Heyman, Tank Davis, and Mayweather and Ellerby. The group of those people have been the worst for boxing this year, period. And I put Tank Davis in there because Tank Davis gave us a couple of doo-doo pay-per-views where a ton of money was charged. And they tried to spoon feed us that this guy is the greatest. So I'm just going to go with Mayweather Promotions, all those 4 guys. It doesn't make sense to me what they're doing. Their thing is all about money. It's all a big money grab type of scheme, and I don't respect it. So I'm definitely going to have to, give them the thumbs down as the Grinch of the year. Santa of the year, I'm going to have to go with Canelo. And I'm going with Canelo. See, Josh Taylor would have been my second option, but Josh Taylor only fought 1 time this year for his undisputed, and Canelo fought 3 times this year. Yes, the first time was not too great against Avni Yildirim, but he did give us Billy Joe for free. And then his last fight where he became undisputed was on pay-per-view. It should have been on pay-per-view. It was a fight for undisputed. That's the only fight that I actually was gladly willing to pay for that was pay-per-view this year. Those are my awards for those 2 categories.
All right, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. For those that know, you already know, Ellerby and Canelo were my picks. You could listen to the HCP podcast for those picks, of course. We're going to go around the panel again.
Can I say one last thing, D-Style?
Really quick, yes.
I think that Campbell Haddon should be thanking referee Marcus McDonald because he got a huge gift on the undercard of the Fury Usyk fight.
Well, we're actually about to go there, you know what I mean? But just so check this out, right? And you'll know what I mean in a moment.
Okay.
The gift of the year, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Now this could be, you know how gifts work. You can give a gift, you can receive a gift, you can witness a gift being given, right? So whatever it is, whatever gift you want it to be, a gift that was given to you, a gift that you saw judges give a fighter, whatever it is, right? Boxing Dev, what was the gift of the year?
In my opinion, the gift of the year was all of the upsets we saw, I think. When Kiko won against Kid Galahad was amazing in my opinion. Or maybe when Cambosos won against Teofimo was amazing too. That was all of the gifts in my opinion. When Sandor Martin won against Mikey Garcia, it was, oh my god, that was the gift for me.
All right, okay. All the upsets, okay.
Yeah.
Mario Munguia, what was the gift of the year for you?
So I interpreted this a little different, so it might be like a little weird compared to everybody else's. But I'll explain it in the sense Sean Porter. I think Sean Porter gave us a gift in the sense that he finally stepped up and fought Crawford for all of the, PBC fears Crawford fears PBC talk, for all of that we got. It ended up just being innuendo. And here's a guy who said, you know what, I'm going to put my foot down. I'm going to fight this guy. I don't think that all the PBC fighters were huddled in some room in 2020 like, okay, which one of us is going to do it? You go, no, you do it. Dude, no, you go do it. Like, I don't think that's what happened. But I do think that there was this cloud that hung over their heads in the welterweight division. I mean, how could it not? For us to have a not clear number one welterweight fighter, like there's a reason. And there's a reason that we have yet to see Spence Crawford. And I don't think it's because they're scared of each other. I don't think any one of them scared of the other. But finally, Sean Porter dipped his toe in the water. Finally, Crawford dipped his toe in the water. And finally, the forbidden door was, broken down with a sledgehammer. And thank you, Sean Porter, for not fearing anything, for not caring about your record. Not that he doesn't care about his record, but for not worrying about losses and not worried about, for having the guts to understand that your reputation and legacy is not built on wins, but what kind of fighter you were, what kind of fighter you dared to be. And he dared to be the best welterweight on that night. And you know what? He got closer than probably a lot of people thought he would. Ultimately, he lost and he retired. But at the end of the day, what he left us is the opportunity to see Spence Crawford hopefully at some point in 2022.
I like it. Knocked out by Kenny. Talk to us, Kenny. The gift of the year.
I love that answer, Mario. But yes, my gift of the year is more personal to myself, and nobody here is going to agree with me. My gift of the year is going to be Michel, the Dominican Ali Rivera, and that is because I am a Dominican dude. There are barely any Dominican dudes in boxing that have any name, that have any fame, that go far in boxing, that accomplish anything in boxing. I've been looking to find a great Dominican boxer forever, and with Carlos Adames and Michel Rivera, we have a few, and I'm just proud to see boxing growing in the Dominican Republic. That's just my personal answer. Not necessarily a gift to everybody, but a gift to me.
That's all that matters, you know what I mean? Hey, Maestro, talk to us. Gift of the year, brother.
Well, I kind of gave mine away because I thought that I misinterpreted the
well, I mean, but Maestro doesn't. We know you don't have to keep it a one. You know what I mean. It's like this is my gift to you. You get to pick another one. You know what I mean?
No, I'm going to use the same one because it was the most flagrant robbery on the biggest stage this entire year. It was a stadium fight. It was on the undercard of Joshua Usyk. All right, it was Ricky Haddon's son. This kid that he fought had a losing record. He had an upside down record. I believe he was like 2-6 or something going into the fight. The kid's name was Sonny Martinez from Spain. And he beat up Haddon. He outboxed Haddon. I mean, Haddon, there's no way in the world he won that fight. But they've got this thing in England where the referee judges fights unless they're title fights, and they just gave him the win. It was terrible. It was so bad that the broadcasting crew had to spend multiple minutes talking about it after the fight happened, and it was literally just a regular undercard fight. But it was that atrocious. So I hope he's sending him a Christmas card this year, because the only reason Campbell Haddon is still undefeated is because of referee Marcus McDonald.
Hey, maybe he's the Santa of the year. I'm saying, but from the Good Boxing Podcast, talk to us, brother. What's the gift of the year?
I'm kind of struggling between two things, but I'll just go with my first one. I know one guy had mentioned that this was actually being a Grinch, where they made Tyson Fury fight Deontay Wilder a third time. But I thought Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder, what a surprise, what a gift, because not a lot of people gave Deontay Wilder a legitimate chance, and that was one of the best fights of the year. High drama, really conclusive ending. Deontay Wilder got to go out on a shield the way he wanted to. Tyson Fury got to really solidify that he was better than Deontay Wilder. And at the end of the day, both guys left okay in health. And we got to close a chapter of a really good heavyweight trilogy. Nothing's better than a really good heavyweight fight. And we got a great one that night.
All right. Okay. And Joe Habib, what's the gift of the year, brother?
Well, I don't normally like to criticize scorecards, but this one fight, Gabriel Maestre versus Miguel Fox, I couldn't wrap my head around this one. I thought Fox clearly won this fight, so I'm going to say Maestre got a big, gigantic 3 gifts under the tree this year by those 3 judges.
Man, look at that. It was like the 3 wise men for him, huh? Like, show you shine. 408, gift of the year.
Gift of the year is a robbery of the year on American soil, and it's the one that Beeb just mentioned, Gabriel Maestre, who snatched up the WBA interim title at welterweight. Of course, Miguel Fox came in as a last-minute replacement because it turns out Cody Crawley, who was just on our friends at HCP, Cody Crawley did a wonderful interview with Maestro. He was supposed to do that fight until he got COVID. And of course, Miguel Fox comes in to Minnesota as a last-minute replacement, outboxes him, drops the former Olympian, and somehow still loses on every single card. But what was so important about that fight was that in the aftermath, we finally saw a sanctioning body bend to public pressure on social media. The WBA started responding to the fans' public pressure on Twitter, on Instagram, and the WBA essentially asked the state commission to reverse the decision to a no contest. So that was a gift to boxing fans to show us, hey, we do have a voice. We've got a voice on social media. We've got a voice on our podcast. We've got a voice on YouTube. If we speak out against the injustice, maybe they'll listen. And in this case, the WBA also said it's time to clean up some of our phony belts. So that was another win for the boxing community. That was my biggest gift of the year. Gabriel Maestre did not deserve that win in Minnesota.
All right, guys. The next one we're going to go to here is what we would like to call the 2021 Rudolph Award. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, we all know the story, okay? With his nose so bright. Santa recruited him to go in front of all the reindeer, gave light to the darkness, you know what I mean? So, it saved Christmas a little bit. And who's the guy that gave light, or girl, that gave light to the sport in times of darkness this year? Kenny, who do you give your Rudolph Award to?
My Rudolph Award goes to Eddie Hearn. Eddie, the main man, Hearns. His matchmaking was just amazing this year. He gave us a lot of things on the Zone app that we didn't really have to pay pay-per-view or pay extra money to see. I got to respect him and the work that he's done in boxing, the money he's invested in fighters. You got to respect what the man's doing. He came in the game of boxing, and he threw a curveball at the whole damn thing. Switched it all upside down, got Mayweather all shaking in his toes. Got Ellerby talking about, oh, I want to fight you. I want to fight you. And then he gives the greatest responses to Ellerby, talking about, let's set it up, pay-per-view, 90-10 split, $1 million guarantee. I'm the A side. Like, it's amazing. You know, I think Ellerby has been the Rudolph of this year because it started out slow.
What do you mean? He works out all the time. And the only footage I've seen him working again, holding Mayweather's ankles while Mayweather does the sit-ups. You know, that's the only time I've seen him work out. But nonetheless, okay. Hey, he's wearing the Under Armour. You know, he's wearing it. You know what I mean? So
he's fighting too.
You ever see those dudes with Under Armour? You're like, well, why are you wearing Under Armour?
Exactly.
You know, like,
for real.
All right. So Shushan, Rudolph Award. Who do you give it to?
I'm going to give this one to a favorite on HCP Network, and that one goes to Xander Zayas. I'm not crowning him the prospect of the year, but in a year where we saw so many boxers doing the wrong things in their personal lives, he stands out as an honorable young man doing everything right, not only in the ring, but outside of the ring, where boxers' personal lives are being put in the forefront. He seems to be doing everything right, and he brings a positive light every time he goes in the ring and every time you hear him being interviewed.
Yeah, then he got bullied as a kid. You know, they used to laugh and call him names. You know, good pick. Maestro, Rudolph Award. Who do you give it to?
Well, I'm going to go through my methodology first, which is that you said that there was darkness at first and that this person brought light. So,
sure.
That takes me back to the shit show that was Lopez Gambosis. Well, first it was supposed to be this date, then it was canceled, then it may be Australia. No, then it's the Mideast. No, then it's canceled, then it's to Manhattan to the MSG. No, wait a second, that's canceled. Actually, we're going to delay it because first baseball, then football conflicts. Then it was supposed to take place at the Barclay. It was all over the place. And this person stepped in, same person Kenny mentioned, Mr. Eddie Hearn, head of Matchroom, stepped in, salvaged that, put it in the MSG Theater, great decision, created an electric atmosphere. I wasn't at home watching it on TV, but my wife was, and she said it was like 5-star entertainment on television, watching it live. I can tell you it was at least that where I was live watching it in the basement of the arena, and he saved the day. And because of that, we finally have some clarity in the lightweight division as well. We no longer have 4 kings that won't fight each other. We have 2 people that at least on record are saying that they'll fight each other. I'm still hoping to see that happen. Gambosis and Haney, obviously, but it's not even close. And you could have gone with other examples as well, because the way he also salvaged a Joshua Usyk fight out of the terrible news that was alluded to earlier of, you know, what happened with the arbitration and there no longer being a undisputed fight at heavyweight. I mean, out of that, we got Usyk taking on Joshua at a stadium in North London. I mean, there's more examples, but I'm going to concede whatever time I have next to the next person. But by far, it's Eddie Hearn.
Man, Eddie Hearn just receiving a bunch of awards today. What's going on? But babe, who's the Rudolph Award go to? 2021.
I got to give it to a man who I think was a throwback fighter in this last 12-month period, and that's Canelo Alvarez. He fought in front of 73,000 people against Billy Joe Saunders in an era where people have been called pay-per-view stars for selling 50,000 pay-per-views. Canelo Alvarez, who's been off pay-per-view for a long time, sold 800,000 pay-per-views in his comeback to pay-per-view, and he also crossed the street to do it, which is something that fighters don't want to do in today's era of boxing. And Canelo was in a position where he didn't have to do that. He could have played hardball and said, I want to call all the shots here. But because he wanted to be undisputed for the sake of not only his bank account, but for the sake of his legacy and for the sake of boxing itself, he wanted to go back to the old days where there's one champion in one division, and he achieved that. So I thought Canelo Alvarez in this last 12-month period, fighting 4 times, unifying, having so many eyeballs on the sport because of the fights that he's taken part in, not only at the live gate, but the pay-per-view as well. I got to give it to him, man. I think he brought some life back to boxing.
Okay. All right. Boxing Dave, we're going to go to you. Talk to us. The Rudolph Award 2021.
Okay. In my opinion, is Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn, because he's given to women's boxing the place that girls deserve, and he's trying to make the best women's fights ever, like Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, and he's fully open to seeing every girl who has skills or something like that, and he's always showing the talent of his girls and things like that, and that helps a lot because women's boxing hasn't the respect that deserves, and Eddie Hearn is putting women's boxing next to the Sun and Sky Sports to the top. I think so. Eddie Hearn is.
Okay, all right. They're like the ladies were like, look at all these clouds we can't see. Oh, don't worry, Eddie to the rescue. You know what I mean? Like, boom.
Yeah.
Good boxing podcast. Talk to us. Rudolph Award 2021.
I would say it has to go to Papachenko, Anatoly Lomachenko. He was the architect behind 2 very good years for both Lomachenko and Usyk. Both guys are shaking up the 135 division and the heavyweight division, which seemed to kind of just be like it was Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, maybe Deontay Wilder in the back in the heavyweight. Then you had the 4 kings. Lomachenko seemed to be kind of written off, in my opinion, once he lost to Teofimo. I mean, I was going for Teofimo against Loma, but I got to give him credit for basically rebuilding the matrix. Everyone's a believer again. He beat Nakatani. He destroyed Richard Comey. And Papachenko is the man behind it. I got to give him credit because in that Loma and Teo fight, Loma looked a little old, washed up, and Teo, in my opinion, beat him pretty wide. People had it close, but I had it pretty wide. And I didn't know if he was going to come back from that. So kudos to Papachenko for coming back prepared, rebuilding his son. And when Usyk beat Joshua, what a statement and what a way to shake up that division.
Yeah, the Matrix is so back that a new Matrix movie came out. I don't know if you guys know that. I was like, what? Like the Matrix is back, and then there's the new Matrix movie. It's kind of like this shit. Hey, but Mario, who's a Rudolph Award for you, 2021?
Look, I think we've established Eddie Hearn is definitely worthy of this award. So I'm going to just skew it a little bit. And, people might get not upset, but, it might sound weird for a hardcore to say this, but I'm going to say Jake Paul. And I'm going to say Jake Paul for a very specific reason, not because he's a great boxer, because he's actually boxing. But let me make this point very clear, okay? What he has done with his millions of followers and millions of people is he's reintroduced it to a younger crowd. That's something that boxing has missed. And even like baseball, like a lot of these, pastimes and traditions that we remember as kids have not had the same impact, and people aren't remembering it the same way. Like kids aren't being introduced to boxing the same way that they were once upon a time, and even though, again, I don't consider Jake Paul an actual boxer, like he's not fighting cruiserweights, he's not fighting people in his division, he's not fighting actual fighters, but what he's doing is he's introducing the sport of boxing to a younger crowd that's on TikTok, that's on, IG, Snapchat. I don't really know what social media his kids are on, but he's infused it. And as a wrestling fan, let me tell you, CM Punk is a guy who, isn't the best wrestler anymore, but his name is so big that he's reinfused it into the zeitgeist of wrestling again. People are starting to care about it again. That's the kind of impact that Jake Paul's having. So again, I know that for a hardcore show, it's weird to say that because, again, Jake Paul is not, a boxer. He's not a real boxer in the sense that he's fighting real fights, but what he is doing is putting boxing on another platform for a different generation. And I don't think that we can overlook the impact that he could have, for that in the next 10, 15 years.
All right, a lot of good nominations. Chat, let us know what do you think. If you're listening on archive, hit that like button, hit the subscribe, hit that bell button so you're notified every time we come on live. Holiday season, ladies and gentlemen, you know what I mean? Now we're going to get to a pretty interesting award, okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, here on HCP, thanks to Chief Funky, we established a term, dumpster juice, okay? Like the juice that comes out of the bottom of the barrel. Like just think about all the trash, all the Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner, all the leftover shit. It's just all thrown in the dumpster, and the juice that comes out of the bottom. That is dumpster juice. Who's going to get the award for dumpster juice of the year? It could be a thing, a person, an entity, a narrative, a YouTuber. I don't give a shit. Well, whatever you want it to be. Dumpster juice of the year. Mario, talk to us. You're muted, brother.
My bad. And I said I was just about to do it on my mic too. Yeah, listen, I'm going to say Glovegate. I think Glovegate is absolutely the dumpster juice of the year. It ruined what should have been. Man, I don't remember who just made the point. Damn it, I can't remember who made the point, but somebody made the point about, Wilder and that fight being better than we all thought it was going to be. I think it was good boxing, maybe. And that's a great point. 100% a great point. The problem was the narrative going into it. Glovegate ruined what should have been a much different narrative for Fury Wilder, regardless of how you felt about Wilder or Fury or whatever. It had to be understood that the kind of power he possessed was a neutralizer. You know what I mean? No matter how good or technical or he is, it doesn't matter. That fight was supposed to be something much different. But because of Glovegate, it turned this fight into a freak show. It turned it into a circus. It turned it into something that's just so much. That fight did not deserve it. And Fury didn't deserve it. At the end of the day, they were trying to take away something that man accomplished, that man earned. Okay. And because people couldn't foresee that happening, because people put their heart and soul, which is also kind of weird, into Wilder, and they were wrong, they were grabbing at straws and they were trying to ruin credibility. And look, I don't know, who's a cheater, who's not a cheater. That word gets thrown out too freely these days. But what I do know is that Fury is the best heavyweight in the world right now. And that fight absolutely was taken away from because of that narrative. Deontay Wilder's, I think, legacy was taken away from a bit. When it all is said and done, I think that's a black eye for the sport. I think that's how we'll remember it, Glovegate.
All right, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. You see the pile of trash? You know what I mean? Maestro, dumpster juice. Ironically, Lovely won it last year, by the way, ironically. But anyway, Maestro, 2021, dumpster juice of the year.
I mean, to me, this isn't even a close one for me. It's Triller Fight Club. Anything with the word Triller in it, anything associated to people that worked for Triller. It's been just the biggest, dumpster juice smoothie, dumpster juice shake, dumpster juice, mate from my South American friend over there, little, tea, so to speak. Whatever you want to make with that, it doesn't matter. You could water it down with all different types of flavors. It's going to be the most disgusting thing you've ever seen this year. Where do we begin? Do we talk about the debacle that was Teofimo Lopez and George Gambosis Jr.? Or do we talk about Pulev Mir and what happened in that fight? Or maybe when it's Joe's turn, he could talk a little bit about Evander Holyfield against Vitor Belfort. I mean, I could go on and on and on. It's the worst thing that has been put on television or streamed as it relates to actual fights. We're talking about pretty much all of their events have been pay-per-view and have been first-round knockouts. and have been embarrassing. And then the one fight that they were supposed to put on that was serious. Remember, they were supposed to bring out Jim Lampley. What happened to Jim Lampley? Okay. Oh, Jim Lampley was supposed to come back out of retirement to call Teofimo.
He didn't like the smell. You know what I mean? He wasn't feeling the smell.
I mean, and he didn't. All right. So, it is what it is. It's Triller. I dug the grave. I buried the corpses in a live that I did. I'm doing it again right now. Maybe this is the incineration of Triller. But that's it, man. It's Triller. It's not even close.
All right, Beeb. Dumpster Juice of the Year 2021. Talk to us.
Yeah, I agree with Maestro, but I'm going to go one better. I'm not even going to say just Triller. I'm going to say Ryan Kavanaugh, the guy behind the scenes pulling the strings over there, the boss. Again, the Camposis, Teofimo Lopez debacle. I agree with Maestro on that one. And yes, I was going to talk about the Holyfield Vitor Belfort fight. Holyfield did not belong in that ring. And the way Kavanaugh was trying to promote Holyfield as being close to what he was, or even a shade of a resemblance to what he was, watching him hit the pads and seeing how his reflexes have just gone so down and how poor they were. He had no business being in the ring. And Kavanaugh, even after that event, came out and said, we're not going to do that anymore. And what does he do? He puts on a fight like Frank Mir and Pulev. Again, Frank Mir has been in some horrific knockouts as of late. Every time Frank Mir takes part in a combat event, he's either getting seriously hurt or he's getting viciously knocked out. So anyone that's going to put these people, and I know people are going to say, yeah, well, they sign up for it. They don't have to do it. But if you're enabling them, then you're part of the problem too. You sharing the guilt. And I don't want to hear any of that. Oh, well, they're grown men. They can do what they want. Again, I've said this several times. Sometimes you got to save people from themselves. We have rules in place in society just for that. So, yeah, I'm going to have to say Ryan Kavanaugh.
Okay. All right. Hey, good call. Good boxing podcast. Talk to us, brother. Dumpster Juice of the Year.
I'll start by prefacing this particular individual started his year tremendously well and then ended up going to rot and ended up being rotten. And the person I'm going with is Ryan Garcia. Literally, January 2nd had his best fight, in my opinion, most interesting fight, the one that told us the most about him. Got up off the floor. Everyone knows the narrative. They've seen the clip over and over. He went on the Mike Tyson podcast saying, I want to fight Tank Davis. I want to fight everybody. I'm going to knock Tank out in 2 rounds. Then was supposed to fight Manny Pacquiao. He even made that ridiculous Instagram post. And then all just to be like, hey, I'm not knocking mental health. And I take what he says seriously. But taking that time off after all the proclamations he made, after all of the talk of the 5 kings, 4 kings, the narrative, Ryan Garcia just not to fight all year after that start. I think he had a rotten year. He's the dumpster juice, in my opinion, for the year.
Man. Boxing Dev.
And I actually like the kid, but like you just gotta call it like you see it,
Call it like you see it, okay. Boxing Dev, dumpster juice of the year.
I think the doctor who said, yeah, go and fight to Evander Holyfield, because that it wasn't completely necessary, that it was unnecessary.
Good call.
Yeah, and I think the WBC too, because they created many belts, and the WBA too, and anybody knows who is the real unified world champion, if it is George Kambosos or if it is the real champion David Haney, because they create belts and they give belts to everybody, and the WBA too, because they have a super champion, regular champion, stupid champion, all of the belts that they create. So that's are the dumpers of the year.
All right, okay. Hey, Shoe Shine, dumpster juice of the year, brother.
Dumpster juice of the year collectively, in my mind, are the scorecards and the judges officiating them. Like we just talked, Maestro talked about one, I talked about one as well. But for me, the women's fight of the year between Michaela Mayer and Hamadouche, a unification at 130 pounds. What was arguably, I don't care if you've never watched women's boxing, this was worthy of your time and attention. And Hamadouche, a woman who defended her title for nearly 6 years in a row, comes to Las Vegas, her first time over here, if I'm correct, putting on a hell of a performance, arguably winning the first half, nearly the first half of 10 rounds, but ultimately losing. The right woman got it. The right woman won. The scorecards, some of them showed 10 rounds to nothing by, let's say, Lisa Giampa, 190, a shutout. Max DeLuca, 99-91. Tim Cheatman, 98-92. Everyone, including the promoters, expressed their frustration that wasn't the right thing to do. Hamadouche deserves so much better. She arguably won at least 4 rounds. And this was something that we saw throughout. If you watch boxing week in and week out, like most of us do here, it was readily apparent that the scorecards were getting lousier and lousier all year long. So my dumpster juice of the year are the judges in boxing.
All right. Knocked out by Kenny. Talk to us, brother. Dumpster juice del año.
I have a few of them. Don't kill me. I have a few of them. A couple of them are biased. A couple of them all of you are going to agree with. Dumpster juice of the year being my first one, which is my biased one. Andre Ward and his bias commentating on anybody who is about to either make him look bad, outdo him, or anything along the lines. Oh, a better BF looks very beatable. You're a clown, bro. Get off of boxing. Please, Bob Arum, get the mic off this man's mouth. Please. Second, on dumpster juice, we have it is boxing. It was under the boxing sport. You guys probably didn't watch it. I watch it because I watch everything boxing that comes up. And it was a TikTokers versus YouTube boxing card. It was a joke. It should have never happened. It started taking place right along when Jake Paul started breaking into boxing and the whole Triller boxing thing. That should have never happened. And you know what? It may just continue happening because if I remember correctly, that was a pay-per-view card. And it sold so much more than the regular boxing card would have sold. It's insane.
I heard that he got paid.
Oh, I have no idea. And the last one that you're all definitely going to agree with is Mauricio Suleiman for his stupid Bridgerweight situation and for refusing to have any interviews and refusing to talk about that stupid Bridgerweight nonsense. The guy is a joke, just trying to grab more money. I put him on the same boat as Dana White, but we ain't talking MMA, we talking boxing. And that's it. I'm done. Drop the mic. I hate all these people that talk nonsense that doesn't make sense.
But Kenny, you do know that Bridgerweight is named after a child that saved his sister from a rabid dog. You know?
I think his problem is
did Mauricio Suleiman donate money to the kid so he could go to college? No. Did Mauricio Suleiman, buy his family a house? No. No, Mauricio Suleiman named the division after him so he could collect more sanction fees and make himself money. That's what he did, right? So to me, I was going to say Mauricio Suleiman is without a doubt all the confusion he's causing. Can't give a consistent answer. Depending who asks him the question, he'll give you a different answer depending on the WBC and the discretion of the WBC. Devin Haney is the champion on Mondays, on Wednesdays, and Fridays. The rest of the days, it's Cambozas. They alternate days as champions. I mean, this is great. I mean, he didn't say that, but he might as well.
These
right?
are like the license plates in Mexico City. On days with numbers, you can drive, but if your first digit on it is a letter, you can't drive. That's how they drive in Mexico. You can't.
Maybe that's how he got it then.
Every day.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. But in one universe, the champion is Cambozas. In the other alternative universe, it is Devin Haney. Since they never fight on the same day, they're both champions. One is a pride champion, and the other is an undisputed champion. Like, shut up. dumpster juice, okay? This dude has caused confusion, and he's caused boxing channels that were once cool with one another beefing and attacking each other personally due to disagreements about WBC. That's what Mauricio Suleiman is doing. He's breaking up friendships. He's causing division. He's causing confusion. We have dudes wanting to shoot each other because they disagree on who's the champion, right? Is it Devin Haney or is it Teofimo before the loss, right? I'm going to shoot you. Like what's going on? Like, calm down, okay? I want to fight you. Like, you want to fight? What do you mean? I want to see them fight. I want to see Haney Kambodzes fight. And let's have one champion, okay? I don't want to fight somebody about it. I want to see them fight, right? Mauricio Suleiman, WBC, the green, just like the dumpster juice that comes out of under that dumpster, all green and gross and all that. But that's what I got to say. Anybody want to shout out really quick? Want to shout out any other dumpster juices out of the sport of boxing really quick?
Yeah, I'll say the well, it's not really boxing, but the triangle boxing ring. I don't know how high off of mushrooms somebody was when they were like, dude, let's fucking make a triangle ring. Like, oh, there's been an octagon, there's been a six-sided ring, there's been a four, there's been cages. No, let's do triangle. Like, I didn't understand the necessity of it. And I saw it and I was like, that looks dumb as shit. It looks like something that would be in like Lucha Libre. Like, I don't know if you ever saw like Mexico shows back in the day, like in the 90s, and they would like change up the ring and stuff. Like, that's what it reminded me of, seriously. But that was a terrible idea. They should probably fix that.
They were like, I don't know. I don't like all the running. Well, they got to cut off the ring. You know what? What do we cut it for them?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like a long triangle, not even like a triangle where they could fight. It's like long. And then they put Frank Mir in the ring with a dude that just fought Joshua for the heavyweight championship last year.
Dude, the fighters shouldn't have to be doing geometry while they're in the fucking ring fighting. Like, it's crazy.
Another dumpster juice is definitely that ref that was reffing the Mir Pula fight. Okay, I think that ref wants Mir killed because he was not stopping that fight. That was great. Like, what was he looking at? What else do you need to see? All right. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, all right, this is a boxing Christmas carol after all. You know what I mean? Well, so let's go ahead and talk about this here. We're gonna go around, of course, in the panel. I'm gonna ask all of you, to give me your thoughts here. Let's go ahead and start with Maestro. Maestro, the Christmas Carol Award. What's the most inspiring or redemption story, whatever you want it to be, the Christmas Carol Award?
Oh, I remember a very inspiring story. There was a certain fight taking place here in New York, and they had a media event, and one of the camps was minding its own business, just hitting the pads, doing a little, shakeout, and out of nowhere comes one of the most inspiring gentlemen you'll ever meet in your life, screaming, "Gambosis! Gambosis! 1 round, Gambosis! 1 round! We're gonna knock that bum motherfucker out." Did you see that? Did you see it? George Gambosis is dead. Just put his hands on me, even though I went up and started the whole shit. Oh, wait a second. That wasn't very inspiring at all. That was some clown shit. Okay. The actual inspiring story was George Gambosis Jr. beating that guy's team, meaning his son, unfortunately, so bad that the dad was delusional about what happened. I've never heard of that before. You beat up a fighter so bad that his dad is delusional to the tune of, oh, well, we run 10 rounds to 2. That was a robbery. Matter of fact, next 2 fights are going to be on pay-per-view. Yeah, the second one is going to be against Josh Taylor. Keep dreaming. Keep dreaming. You're talking about a guy who no one thought was going to win. Some people gave him a certain shot. They thought he'd win a couple rounds and sneak a couple. with the in and out defense. This man stepped on the plane after calling his shot, right? Refusing to play ball with Triller. Let's not forget it was Gambosis who sent the Triller guys running when he essentially said, put my shit in escrow or I'm not getting on that jet. And they didn't put his shit in the escrow, and he didn't get on that jet. And when he didn't turn up, Triller imploded. That's actually what happened. So salute to Team Gambosis for that. They knew that Eddie Hearn was probably gonna step in and save the shit because Peter Kahn is the expert manager. He's part of that team. All right. They got their money. They got the default of the deposit because Triller was never getting that back. So they essentially made what they would have made off Triller, fighting on the zone. He came over to New York. What did he call it, D-Style? He was working hard away in the darkness. Sounded a little bit like Bane, actually, as you put it. All right? It showed up.
Well, they're in the spotlight. I'm working in the darkness. Yeah.
And the man beat Teofimo Lopez so bad that Lopez's dad got delusional. That's how bad that beating was. So shout out to Team Gambosis. Okay, very inspiring story. All right, and we'll see where they go from there. But I got to give it to Team Gambosis. Most inspiring story of 2021, hands down.
Whoo-wee. Boxing Dev. Most inspiring story 2020, the Christmas Carol story of this year.
Okay, the most inspiring story is not just in 2021, it's since 2018. I'm talking about Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. He lost in a horrible way in 2017 against Sir Secreto Rubinside, and then he was robbed, and then he lost by a horrible knockout. And little by little, he started to write his legacy again. This year, when he fought against Juan Francisco Estrada, he was the underdog, and he was completely I don't know, he was going to knock Juan Francisco Estrada out. And the judges, I don't know, ruined everything because the card was horrible. But the Chocolatito's history, in my opinion, is the most inspiring history in boxing because he reborn from the ashes. He's like the phoenix.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Well said.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. I mean, I think he did have business from the 3-hole ghost and came back for sure.
Yeah.
Knocked out by
but he was the underdog with El Gallo, and he won that fight. He did it very, very well. He did it with Shafai. He did it with Moises Flores. He's the best.
Okay, all right. Knocked out by Kenny. What's the Christmas Carol Award, man? The Christmas Carol story of the year.
The Christmas Carol story of the year for me, in my opinion, the biggest comeback story in the history of boxing. You guys never seen nothing like this. Mayweather's hairline. I've been trying to grow a beard for 20 years, man. If you see my skin, there's no hair here, man. You know what I'm saying? I've been trying to grow a beard for 20 years. And the man, he came back from a full head of baldness in like 6 months. You know, he got a full beard that connected everywhere. It looks like one of those sprayed on beards and hairlines. That's how fresh it is. I'm jealous. Mayweather, I either need some millions, I need your doctor, or I need the recipe or whatever cow dung you're putting up there, whatever you're doing, whatever it is that you're doing. I need to know, buddy, because I'm trying to get a beard, you know?
Man. So you think he got a visit from Xmas Past, like Pretty Boy Floyd, and he got a visit from Present Future, and then now they fix his hair? Like, bro, you know what I mean?
That hairline's fully back, man.
And then he's acting like a Scrooge. I mean, it's a perfect Christmas Carol story, you know, for sure. All right. Hey, Mario, Christmas Carol story, inspiring story, or redemption story of the year.
Yeah, listen, first off, real quick, I do want to say prayers to David Diamante. He was in a horrific motorcycle accident, and there's talk about him having to relearn to walk. And so definitely all prayers to him right now. But I'm going to go with Richard Colon. Richard Colon this year received a WBC belt, an honorary WBC belt. And, you know, for all the things that the WBC has done and been accused of, this is one thing they got right. Richard Colon's career is going to go down as 16-1 with 13 knockouts. You know, he's from Puerto Rico by way of Florida, decorated amateur. He won 5 amateur titles before 20 years of age, and then he turned pro. Don't let the word honorary fool you. This guy's a champion. This guy's a champion of faith. He's a champion of courage. He illustrates that champion spirit, that kind of spirit that cannot be quantified. I had the pleasure of meeting Pritchard years ago, and you know, it was at a boxing event, and I remember seeing him, and people had been talking about him, and I knew the name. I just remember his smile. I remember thinking to myself, it's the same thing as you know, X. Like it's one of those things where you see guys and you're like, man, he has that star power. You know what I mean? He has that quality when you look at a fighter and you just see that he can be a commercial. He can have that commercial appeal. For everything that was taken from him, they didn't take his smile. They did not take that from him. That smile is still there. To watch that video of him receiving the belt, like, I mean, if it doesn't choke you up or you know, tear your eye, then you might want to check if you have a soul. That guy, I mean, just to see it and to see how hard he's working, like I wouldn't be surprised. Like if somebody came back from the future, from 10 years, you know, in the future and says, hey, Richard Colon walks again, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not a doctor. I don't know, you know, from what I understand, they don't know, you know, how much he's going to be able to regain for sure. But I can tell you that he's never going to stop trying. I can tell you that he's never going to stop fighting. Right now, his mom's in his corner, you know, is his corner man, and she takes care of him full time. He's recovering in a Florida hospital. And, you know, I this might sound weird or I don't know, but when I see him and I think of his story, it's not just inspiring. Like, I mean, we all go through bad stuff. We all go through hard days. And I think to myself, like, this guy is out here still fighting with everything that was taken from him and the brightest future that he had and could have possibly had in boxing. And at the end of the day, if he can, you know, find that will to go on and fight and that courage, I mean, it's something I think we can all be inspired for. And there's not a fighter in the world that can inspire in 12 rounds the way this guy is doing right now at this stage of his life.
All right, very inspiring for sure, and good boxing podcast. What do you say, brother?
I wanted to say I was actually going to agree with Maestro Boxing. George Gambosos definitely is the comeback story or kind of story of the year. But just to kind of give a different answer, I'm going to go with Brian Castano. I think his performance against Jermell Charlo, who not a lot of people really knew who Brian Castano was. I know he gave hell to Arislan de Lara. I know he was a decorated amateur. I was following him for a while, but I personally didn't think he would get the nod against Jermell Charlo, but he gave a hell of a fight. Basically made his stock is way up now. I know I heard there's going to be a rematch, and I personally think it's great for the 154-pound division, which in my opinion at times can be a little shallow in terms of depth in comparison to like 135, 147, those glamour divisions. But Brian Castano, what a year. I mean, what a way to come out of nowhere and just make a splash.
All right, okay.
Argentina in the house.
Whoa, all right. 408. Well, first, really quick, Boxing Days. I appreciate this. Happy holidays, HCP. Boxing Glove emoji. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Shout out to you as well. 408. Talk to us.
You know, as far as most inspirational or feel-good stories of the year, this one didn't draw too much attention at all from boxing media, but it was personal to me, and that's because it's someone I consider a friend, a young retired fighter out of Las Vegas, Francisco Esparza Jr., who's been on the Roundtable before. He talked about his story on the Roundtable. He was signed a Golden Boy. He was trained by Fernando Vargas out of Las Vegas. Dropped by Golden Boy for losing on the undercard, a close decision, an undercard, Canelo undercard. He achieved his first dream fighting under the banner of T-Mobile and Golden Boy. Dropped by Golden Boy, gets an opportunity for a possible 3-fight deal with Top Rank on the card, on Sanders Zayas' premier fight. I was there that night. Wins that, okay? Just as he's about to sign a contract with Top Rank, he gets a very disturbing MRI scan, one that makes him face a very hard decision, and that's to hang up the gloves. This is all the kid knows, all right? So, of course, you wonder what's life after boxing. This is all you've done. You know, you were looking to do this your entire life. He gets a call from Ludabella this year that a female fighter by the name of Alma Ibarra was going to be fighting and needed a trainer for a title eliminator for Jessica McCaskill. Now, if you guys follow Jessica McCaskill, she's undisputed champ of the world. He wins that fight in his very first fight as a trainer, putting him just one fight away from everybody's dream, right? Either you're undisputed or the fighter you represent is undisputed. So shout out to my friend Francisco Esparza Jr. Now, if you guys want to know what's the follow-up to that, Jessica McCaskill fought somebody else on the DAZN card just last month because the sanctioning bodies, well, they don't really care who your number one. You guys have seen it in male boxing too. It doesn't really matter who's your number one. Sometimes they choose to fight who they want to fight.
Absolutely. Shout out to Christine Lopez. I appreciate the super sticker. What is that super sticker? Well, there, a nice thumbs up from a bird. That's what it's all about. Shout out to Christine Lopez. Shout out to Women Crushing on Wednesdays. Before you go, B, let me just say really quick. I mean, look, I'm disappointed with everybody. Everybody knows that the inspiring story, the Christmas Carol story of the year, okay, is Bridger Walker. You know what I mean? Look, a pack of rabid dogs attack his sister, right? His younger sister. He defends her from this dog. He gets his figured. You know what I mean? And then a division is named after him in his honor. He gets to meet all these fighters. I mean, it's just such an inspiring story. I mean, it had a division in boxing named after him. All right? Just think about it. It isn't inspiring. I don't care what anybody says. That story is inspiring. That story has changed the face of boxing. That story has given opportunity to Oscar Rivas. Okay, I could see just everything that it did. I mean, you got to feel good for the kid, right? I'm just saying, unless you don't have a heart, maestro, you know what I mean? And you don't feel good about this kid.
Cynical PR stunt, C-style.
You know, I'm talking about the kid specifically.
I've never seen a kid situation used for personal or institutional gain like this before.
I agree about Mauricio Suleiman, but the kid, though, like the story of the child that saved his sister. Like, if you met the kid, you're not going to attack the kid, right?
No, I mean, I was being critical about this on the Boxing Voice, and I got yelled at like I was a little child in elementary school.
It is what it is, you know what I mean? You got to pay the price for attacking a kid. They got attacked by a rabid dog, you know what I mean? I'm saying, you know.
I wasn't attacking the child. I was attacking Suleiman and the WBC for a very cynical PR stunt. Apparently, the Boxing Voice listenership couldn't grasp that, and I got lambasted and attacked. I'm sorry.
Hey, shout out to Nestle. Shout out to Nestle. Babe, talk to us, brother. Talk to us. Christmas Carol story of the year.
One fight and one fighter that's going under the radar here is Kiko Martinez. Goes over to the UK.
Great point.
He was getting beat pretty soundly. He was down on my card, I think 4 rounds to 1. Maybe you could argue he may have been down, 3-2 at the time, but I think most people had him down 4-1. He was cut. He was getting rocked. Looked like he was going to get stopped. And, he went in the backyard of Kid Galahad and he got the job done with an emphatic 6th round knockout. So we got to give it to him. A lot of people were writing him off. A lot of people thought he should have retired. People were calling for his retirement, saying that he was done at the top level, and he came out of nowhere and became a world champion again. And I think we can make an argument that was probably, in terms of the odds, the greatest upset, if not Lara Warrington. I think that was the widest upset victory in terms of the odds in 2021.
But did he have a division named after him?
Well, I did. I named the Beeb division after him.
You never heard of Kiko weight?
Kiko weight. It's somewhere between
Bieber weights. Bieber weight.
By the way, where's the
197.
cut?
I love
Okay,
it. I love it.
Where's the
Kiko
so
weight.
I know you shaved right away, but where's the cut? Better Beeb? Better Beeb? Okay, where's the cut?
That's great.
I
I
love
love
the cut
it.
at.
Yo, if you don't change your Twitter handle right now, I'm stealing.
Better
it.
Beeb.
Better Beeb.
Better Beeb. I love it. I mean, Better Beeb. Love it.
I agree. I co-sign. You should definitely change that to be your Twitter name immediately.
100%. Immediately.
There's a new weight division called the Bieber.
yeah.
The Bieber weight is 197.
Shit. I'm just saying, okay?
Why don't we
All right, guys.
name a
Yeah,
division to Andre Ward? Hater weight. 175 below is getting beat by Andre Ward, apparently. Or maybe we could go all the way up to cruiserweight too, right? Because I mean, what's called an hater weight? 175 and below.
Speaking of Andre Ward,
They could all.
we'll be back after this. Speaking of Andre Ward.
That's not the way. Who's that? But you hit it straight, huh? Step into it.
Apollo?
Right. I waited at your house for about an hour and your wife said you might be here.
What are you doing here?
Business. Listen. It's quiet, isn't it? When you retire, it's too quiet. I mean, we're too young to retire anyway. We held the greatest title in the whole world, babe. Maybe we could win it back together. Eye of the tiger, man.
Yeah, this is coming from the dude that said that Tank and Canelo were like the same thing. I mean, who has Canelo fought? You went to go train one of the dudes. Like, you were out there saying he might stop Canelo, and like you were being Apollo to him and shit. You know, trying to make him find the eye of the tiger and all this other shit. Oh, Plant. People don't understand. You know, I know people are laughing, but Plant. I mean, he's gonna do a lot of great things. Yada yada yada. Whatever. But anyway, let's proceed to the next one, guys. The Ghost of Xmas Past Award. A fighter that needs to either retire or get the hell out of trying to stay on the limelight, one or the other, out there, or any boxing personality, whatever it is. Ghost of Xmas Past. Good boxing podcast. Talk to us. Who gets that award?
Well, I'm glad I got to go first on this one. It's definitely Derek Chisora. I can't keep seeing this guy take the punishment he's taken. I mean, in that Joseph Parker fight, he was down several times, and he's been knocked out how many times at this point? I think at the end of his career, the end of his career is here. He's made a lot of money, hopefully he's good financially, but if he keeps taking these fights with these dangerous heavyweights, he's going to end up not being able to speak, and I'm actually a little worried for Derek Chisora if he keeps fighting. He's exciting, though. I give him that. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say he's not dangerous, but at a certain point, you can't keep taking these massive blows from these huge guys and expect to be with all your faculties when you retire.
You know what? We actually have a response from Derek Chisora, and I want to know what you say to this. So let's hear what Derek Chisora had to say when they try to take away his boxing license.
We're sorry. We're going to have to deny you the license to fight Victor Belfort. You're too damn old.
Yo, don't I got some rights?
What rights do you think you're referring to?
Rights, like in that official paper that they wrote down the street there?
That's the Bill of Rights.
Yeah, the Bill of Rights. Don't it say something about going after what makes you happy?
No, that's the pursuit of happiness. But what's your point?
My point is I'm pursuing something and nobody looks too happy about it.
But we're just looking out for your interests.
I appreciate that, but maybe you're looking out for your interests just a little bit more. I mean, you shouldn't be asking people to come down here and pay the freight on something they paid. It still ain't good enough. I mean, you think that's right? I mean, maybe you're doing your job, but why you got to stop me from doing mine? Because if you're willing to go through all the battling you got to go through to get to where you want to get, who's got the right to stop you? I mean, maybe some of you guys got something you never finished, something you really want to do, something you never said to somebody, something. And you're told no, even after you pay your dues. Who's got the right to tell you that? Who? Nobody. It's your right to listen to your gut. It ain't nobody's right to say no after you earn the right to be where you want to be and do what you want to do. You know, the older I get, the more things I got to leave behind. That's life. The only thing I'm asking you guys to leave on the table is what's right.
Yo, really, before you respond, like, I mean, the moment he said this, maybe so somebody, some, like at that point, no, you're not getting a license, brother. You're done, right? But any response, Good Boxing Podcast? I mean, Chisora sounded very convincing there,
I mean, it's looking like that's the eventual destination for him if he keeps getting banged up the way he's doing. I mean, again, the fight this weekend was great. I'm not going to sit here and take away what he did. He was competitive at certain points. At a certain point in the fight, Joseph Parker just took over, and that whole leaning in the corner and like it's entertainment. I'm not going to lie to you, but the humane side of me is like, you can't keep taking these shots. I mean, we've seen it over and over. This is where people get hurt, and I don't want to see it happen for Derek Chisora.
And this award, of course, is dedicated to the Rocky, scene where he convinces a bunch of dudes to let him fight the heavyweight champion of the world. This is crazy. But anyway, Beeb, who goes to Xmas Past? Who is this award for you?
I have to echo Good Boxing Podcast sentiments exactly. And whenever you hear something being said about a fighter over and over again, oh, the guy's got a lot of heart, a lot of courage. Oh, what guts. Usually that means that the skills have eroded to the point where he has to rely on those things as the first line of defense. And that's not what you want to rely on as the first line of defense, because eventually your faculties will diminish, and then your quality of life outside of boxing will also diminish. So Good Boxing Podcast made another great point. It's hard to walk away when people are cheering you, and people cheer Chisora because he is exciting, because he does display that heart, because his fights are they're almost like stories, right? It's like
Rocky.
Exactly. Great. Thank you. It's like a Rocky story. Like, it's like watching a movie right before your eyes, watching him fight. I don't want to get too dramatic about it, but the thing is this too, is you hear Eddie Hearn say, well, I think Chisora can beat Deontay Wilder right now. And over in the UK, he does great numbers. He does great numbers. People pay to see him fight. And the amount of money he makes still, being a non-champion, having 11 losses, not that it's a bad thing to lose, but he's lost, I don't know, I can't remember the last time he's won a fight against a top-level guy, right? So for whatever reason, he keeps fighting. I don't think he needs the money anymore, but maybe it's hard to walk away when the money is so great and everyone loves you still, and you can still draw those crowds and people are still paying to watch you fight and buying your pay-per-view. So I think it's Chisora. I think he needs to walk away for his health.
Man. Okay. All right. But that wasn't convincing to you, Beeb? Like, maybe somebody, nobody
has the right to tell you to do what you want to do and be you want to be.
Yeah, like that wasn't convincing?
I tell people that every day, man.
Dude, that was a good impression, Beeb.
Not that by Kenny.
That was, dude.
Goes to Xmas Past, Kenny.
That was great, Beeb. That was amazing, brother. The impression was amazing. Ghost of Xmas Past. I got 3 of them. And I'm going to agree with everybody on Derek Chisora. We don't want the guy to end up like Muhammad Ali. He takes a lot of hits. And I agree with Beeb. The guy, the money he's making is sweet. It's amazing. Like, where do you make that much money? If he retires from boxing, where is he going to make that type of money anywhere else on one shot? Nowhere. It's impossible. He's not
get
doing
into crypto.
crypto is a up and down. It's so volatile. You can make major gains or you can make major losses. His fight money is guaranteed, big bucks, big bank. So
Good point.
It's hard to walk away from that one, you know. And if you like a dude like Derek Chisora, you think, okay, look, I could risk my health. I could risk my health and my longevity and a long life for generational wealth, for the entire Chisora family, for the foreseeable future. You know, it's a hard decision for a dude who's making that much bank to fight a 12-round fight and get beat up or try to not get beat up and win, but he's taking a lot of punches. But I don't want to see him end up like Muhammad Ali. So I hope he walks away from the sport sooner than later. I wouldn't like to see him in any more matches where he gets banged up the way he's getting banged up. Second on my list would be Miguel Mariaga. Miguel Mariaga, he fought some dude this year, Eduardo Ramirez, who was supposed to be like a comeback cherry pick fight or whatever. The dude is coming up in weight. Eduardo Ramirez, that is, coming up in weight. And Eduardo Ramirez, the guy who didn't even look that skillful, was destroying Miguel Mariaga, washing him up. Miguel Mariaga couldn't do anything. I thought he was going to get knocked out in that fight at a certain point. So that's the second one, Miguel Mariaga. And my last but not least is going to have to be Yuriorkis Gamboa. The man, he looked horrible against Tank. You could blame it on the leg, the body. His body's giving up on him. You could have the biggest pit bull dog fight mentality in your head that exists. It doesn't matter if your body's giving up on you. Listen to your body. You know, that's how sports players, boxers, fighters, entertainers, everybody who has to use their body for something, that's how they know when it's time to retire. Their body starts giving up on them and they can no longer do the things that they used to do. Those are my three names of people that should retire. Derek Chisora and Yuriorkis Gamboa being number one because their bodies are giving up on them. Well, not really Derek Chisora. He's never really been a super in shape type of dude, but he takes too much damage. Gamboa, his body's beating up on him. And Mariaga, it was so unimpressive what I saw in that last fight with him that unless you want to be known as a gatekeeper, as a you beat this guy and you get some type of notification, like people start noticing who you are, then it's time to take your chips and your notoriety and what you've already gained from boxing and moonwalk the hell up out of there.
Gotcha. All right. So now, 408, the ghost of Christmas Past. Who is it?
The ghost of Christmas Past is actually Robert the Ghost Guerrero. Okay. Shout out to Robert, the last true world champion from my area code, the 408, who fought this year against vicious Victor Ortiz. Man, he took way too much punishment. He's at 38 years old. This guy had a storied career, multiple division weight champion. He does not need to be taking any more punishment. A great family man. There's chatter of him possibly fighting Conor Benn. Conor Benn is like looking at the list of former world champs that I could knock out. And for Robert to consider that, like, man, I don't want to see a local hero, a true local hero here in the San Jose area. I would like to see him start training the future champs of the future. We've got a lot of talented fighters that come out of our area and even more south of us down towards Salinas. So un brindis para Robert the Ghost Guerrero, who had a fantastic career.
All right. Okay. Maestro. Talk to us. Ghost of Christmas Past, brother.
Well, it's funny you mentioned this topic, Kenny. I'm sorry, D-Style, because last year, it was so much boisterous activity on YouTube. You know, only Canelo could do what we're doing. We inspired Canelo, but we'll beat Canelo. Really? You'll beat Canelo? Okay. Only my son could beat Canelo. Really? I mean, it was
me a moment, but I got
literally Christmas morning, apparently at a certain post-fight press conference, when 6 duffel bags showed up with 6 titles in them, center stage during Canelo's moment. But the funny thing is, that's all over now. I mean, and what happened to this? Do you still remember this?
You're gonna get your ass kicked.
George Moses Jr.'s dad.
I'm doing too much.
Took
Ya no le den. Ya no le den. All right.
Real quick. All right. So I'm going the whole team Lopez, beginning with Lopez Sr. It's got to be over for him. And if his son wants to come back, he needs to get with a new trainer. Now, what I will say about the Derek Chisora thing, guys, as bad as you may think that Derek Chisora is for wanting to continue and possibly continuing, believe it or not, Danny Williams, yes, the Danny Williams that knocked out Mike Tyson, is 11 years older than Derek Chisora and fought this year and lost, of course. Danny Williams faced off against Serer Avci actually this month in December and lost a unanimous decision. Avci was 11-0. In his last fight, which was 2020, he got knocked out by a guy making his pro debut. The fight before that, he knocked out a guy who had the tremendous record of 0-8. I guess they needed to give him a comeback fight. You know, you can't have your guys knocking out guys that get knocked out consecutively. So we got to give him an 0-8 fighter to boost his record up a little bit if we're going to continue to roll this dude out. Before that, he got knocked out by a guy that was 6-1. Sorry, 6-1-2 to be exact. Before that, he got knocked out by a guy that was 5-0. You kind of get in the picture here. This is a guy who's 11 years older than Derek Chisora, a fellow Londoner, a fellow heavyweight, a guy that won't even be licensed in England anymore by the British Boxing Board of Control. So he's out there getting paid in the Ukraine and in Russia against guys making their pro debuts. If we're going to talk about fighters that need to retire, believe it or not, Derek Chisora is not at the top of my list. You got a few names ahead of him, and Danny Williams is one of them.
Okay, all right. Shout out to the chat, by the way, guys. Boxing Dave, the ghost of Christmas Past.
Okay, the cause of Christmas Past, in my opinion, is Yuriokis Gamboa. Yurioki, yeah. And maybe, I don't know, but maybe King Kong Ortiz too. Okay. Because both boxers...
What do you mean? The pay-per-view stars. Send me a pay-per-view.
They have been receiving a lot of punches. They have a long amateur background. So I think they're... I don't know how old is King Kong Ortiz. Maybe he's 40 or more. But I think they're receiving enough punches in your life. And if they want to have a quality life or something like that, they need to get into a retirement. Yeah.
Well said. Hey, by the way, I'm the one drinking, and then like Kenny's the one getting drunk. Isn't that crazy, guys? How that works? You know?
Nah, I'm drinking right along with you, bro. I'm just, all
right.
And doing dumb shit,
I have Fernet here.
All right. Hey, Mario.
I'll do another shot.
I'm gonna make it short and
sweet.
It's
the Holy Spirit. Fuck it, let's get fucked up. It don't matter.
Go for it. Get that.
Mario, talk to us.
I'm gonna pick Derek Chisora. It's who I wrote down originally. I'm gonna stay with it. And I'll make this short because I think everybody's made great points and pretty much summed it up really well. But for me, he could still fight. He can still make entertaining fights. And covering the sport for 10 years, I've learned that you can't really ever say like who should retire. I mean, sometimes there's Roy Jones and Evander Holyfield sentiments, but going back to what Beef said about Kiko, like people were telling him to retire. Look what he ended up doing. But for Derek Chisora, he has other avenues. This isn't a guy who can only box. He's funny, he's entertaining, he's charismatic. We're talking about a guy who honestly I think could go Hollywood. He's got the Dolph Lundgren kind of appeal. Like think of him being a monster in like a boxing movie or something like that. I mean, there's a lot of other avenues he can do. He's genuinely funny. People tell me all the time that, even though he's a genuine madman, I've heard from people that know him really well that he's a guy who understands promotion. I think we've always seen a heightened version of himself. So, I think that all goes to the fact that he knows what he's doing and he could continue success in other avenues.
Ladies and gentlemen, well said. 408, did you already go? Yeah, you did. Okay. I just want to say this really quick. I believe everybody already when I switched the screen, sorry. But the Ghost of Xmas Past is without a shadow of a doubt Floyd Mayweather Jr. This was still talking about fights and wins from 2013. You know what I mean? He can't stop talking about himself. He can't stop. It's Tank Davis's win, and he's talking more about his win over Canelo in 2013 than the win Tank just had. Like, you know what I mean? This dude is stuck in the past still. And I don't know if he's just missing it. He's just realizing, man, I'm 45. Like, I'm never going to be that dude again. I don't know what it is, but he's definitely living vicariously almost through Tank Davis. And he still wants to get something from the past. Like, it's like he sees Canelo getting credit and he goes out of his way to just remind people, like, yo, I beat this guy. You guys know I beat him, right? I beat him. I beat him. Like, we know you beat him, but that was like then, and now is now, and you're retired, and that's it. Like, it's like it's over. I don't think he realizes this. Like, that's it. You had a Hall of Fame career. You're gonna go down in the Hall of Fame, but now you get to like remember your career. You don't get to like you're not pound for pound forever. You know what I mean? Like it's over. And I think he's coming to that realization. I believe. I think it's starting to hit him. Ghost of Xmas Past, Floyd Mayweather. Guys, we're going to go to the Ghost of Christmas Present, all right? And this is what I call the Contender of the Year. Someone who's not a champion in this year, not a prospect, but a contender. And yes, you could include a former world champion. Maestro, we'll start with you.
This one's easy for me, and I'm sorry if I'm offending any of his fans. No, I do not consider him a world champion yet. I'm talking about the 168-pound WBA regular, not world champion, David Morrell Jr. This kid is next level as it relates to boxing IQ, boxing talent. He does it all. Inside fighting, outside fighting. He could get gritty on the inside. He could box sharp and smooth on the outside. He's got power. He's the total package as it relates to a prospect. The only person I see possibly beating him at 168 is David Benavidez. And believe it or not, I actually favor David Morrell Jr. in that fight. I'm not really counting Canelo because I don't think he's even going to stick around at 168. But for me, you want to talk prospect. The guy won an interim title in his third fight against the guy who was like 22-1 or something like that. Alantez Fox is no joke. He just destroyed him, okay, in his sixth fight. David Morrell Jr., this is by far and away the best prospect in the game.
All right. Okay. Although it's not a prospect award, but it's a contender award, but you maintain the award?
Oh, I meant contender.
Got it. Okay, cool.
But the funny thing is, he's a prospect that's also a contender. I mean, dude has 6 fights.
Hey. You're right. Boxing Dave. Really quick, shout out to Teresa D. Happy holidays, she says. Shout out to you. We appreciate it. Much appreciated. Shout out to you. Boxing Dev, go ahead.
Okay, the contender of the year, in my opinion, is Jessie Baum Rodriguez. If anybody knows him, he's 14 fights, 10 wins by knockout. He is 21 years old, and his last opponent was Jose Burgos. He showed the best skills ever. Jessie Baum Rodriguez is going to be a world champion in the flyweight division because he has the skills, he has the power, he has the mentality, the timing, he has everything to shine in the flyweight division.
Okay, all right. There you go. Solid contender. Good Boxing Podcast, Contender of the Year, Ghost of Christmas Present.
I'm shocked it got this far, but I'm going to go with Jaron and his boots. I think he, hands down, right now is the contender of the year. And right now, I think he could possibly compete with Terence Crawford and Errol Spence and those top-level guys. He's a switch hitter, tremendous reflexes, tremendous power. And, yeah, I'm going to go with Jaron and his boots.
Wow. Yeah, and you know what? I actually agree with you. I'm kind of surprised that one wasn't taken first. But
I know. I was like, oh, no, I'm third.
I know. I agree. I didn't pick him because I thought for sure people were going to pick him.
Well, let's see. Knocked out by Kenny. Kenny, talk to us. Contender of the Year, Ghost of Christmas Present. You're muted, brother.
Pardon. Lost my mouse on the screen. But I'm not going to go with Jaron Ennis. He only fought twice. Delorme, I thought, was washed up. That, for me, wasn't, I didn't think that was impressive enough.
Fair point.
I'm going to go with, it's going to sound biased, another Dominican dude, Carlos Adames. He fought 3 times this year. He beat 2 of them by knockout, 1 mixed decision with Sergey Derevyanchenko, and I thought he whooped. Although the judges were biased, I thought he whooped Derevyanchenko. So I think if he could bring his conditioning up just a little bit so he doesn't get as tired, I think he could give either Brian Castaño or Jermell Charlo a run for their money, or Jermall Charlo and the dudes at 160. He could contend at either one of those divisions. So I'm going with Carlos Adames. I love his style. He got a little bit of the shoulder roll, a little bit of that type of defense. He got power in him. He got power, and he always goes to close the show. He goes for the finish. Carlos Adames is the guy for me, hands down. And yeah, that's it. I'm done. I got nothing else to say.
Man. Ladies and gentlemen, let me give my pick really quick. Ladies and gentlemen, the Contender of the Year, former world champion, high-tech, Vasily Lomachenko. I mean, he beat down, like I told people he's going to be Nagatani. Nah, he ain't going to be Nagatani. Nagatani's too big and strong. No, he's going to beat him. Knocked him out. And then dominated Richard Comey. I mean, he spared Richard Comey is really what he did. He liked Richard Comey. That's the only reason Richard Comey won decision, because he actually liked the dude. So I think he's like a solid contender of the year. Now somebody say, man, that's a downgrade for Loma, but hey, he's trying to get his comeback and stuff. You know what I mean? So shout out to him. Beeb, Ghost of Christmas Present, the Contender of the Year.
Last time I was excited about a fighter like this was back in 2011, and Mario remembers this because I used to always talk about this guy, and everyone used to call me crazy. And then one day, I think I was the only person that ever picked him to beat Vladimir Klitschko when he became heavyweight champion of the world. And at the time, when I was so high on this guy, I based my opinion on the eye test.
Can't you feel the love tonight? Oh, go ahead.
I based my opinion on the eye test back then, and I'm going to base my opinion on the eye test this time, because a lot of people say, well, who has this guy fought? What has this guy done? But sometimes you just look at a guy and certain characteristics of the fighter stand out to you, and you just watch things that he's able to do, and they impress you. And Jaron Boutenas is that guy. A lot of people criticize his level of opposition. They criticize the resume, but to me, when you look at this guy, he's a generational talent. I think he's going to improve when the opponents start getting better and he does raise his level of opposition. I think people are going to realize how good this guy really is, and I think he's going to prove that in the most recent years to come. So I'm going to go at Boutenas.
Man, Mario, talk to us. Who you got?
Yeah, listen, we got to listen to Beeb. I remember he told me about Tyson Fury before anything. So yeah, listen, I thought I'd misunderstood what the context of it was, right? Because at first I was like, oh well, it's obviously Jaron Boutenas, or we're gonna go prospect, Xander's all that, right? But I'm just gonna go with what I thought it was, and I'm gonna go with Luis Alberto Lopez from Mexicali, Baja California, Mexico. Listen, I know this is a weird name because it doesn't have like the sexiness of a Jaron Boutenas, or you know what I mean, like all the appeal of those other weight divisions. But we're talking about a guy who's lost twice in his career, right? Last time he lost was to Ruben Villa in 2019. Okay, but since then he is on a 7-fight win streak, and he battered Gabriel Flores, battered him. Okay, and then
right.
Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely 100% right. And then he went and took Isaac Lowe's undefeated record in your call. Like, that's where Isaac Lowe is from. Like, this is a guy who's on the cusp of getting a title fight with Kiko, you know, and he wants that fight bad. And I think he's going to get it. And so this is a guy who is a contender. So he does fit the profile, but he's fun to watch. He's exciting. He's got a lot of man, what's the word? Maestro used it earlier, and I was going to steal it from him. Redemptive, I guess, is maybe the word. I don't know. But either way, this is a guy who I think could appeal to a lot of people just the way he fights. He's a guy who can be exciting just for the sake of being exciting. And, you know, even though he doesn't have the, you know, shut it down qualities of a Boutenas or even a Xander, this is a guy who, like I said, has so many different areas in which he appeals that I think, while he might not ever reach the casual success of a Canelo, I mean, who will, right? But he has the ability to give fight-friendly or TV-friendly fights. So, yeah, I'm going to go with him.
All
see what he
right.
does next year.
Absolutely, man. 408, talk to us. Contender of the year, man. Goes to Christmas present.
Okay, yeah. I just want to follow up on what Mario was saying, because my local fighter, Andy El Tiburon Vences, was not prepared to fight Lopez at all. Okay, he didn't know what hit him in that fight. They were completely unprepared. The game plan did not work. He was
agreed.
He was very much surprised. And I thought that Gabe Flores and his father would have watched tape, or at least have come up. The matchmaking was very, very poor, and Gabe Flores was absolutely on a roll, and that was really poor matchmaking on behalf of Top Rank, because Gabe Flores was obviously not ready for what Lopez is bringing. Now, as far as my pick for Contender of the Year, he's actually still a prospect, and as much as I really wanted to go with Jaron Boutenas, because like Beeb said, he just appeals to my eye test as well, I'm going with Jared Anderson from Top Rank. 4 fights this year, okay? All wins by knockout. Not only that, but the opposition he's faced, 17-1, 22-0, 16-2. Only the very first matchup this year was someone with a 5-1 record. These are guys with some pedigree that he beat. But not only that, recently we found out that Cambosos, you know, how many rounds he had sparred with Pacquiao as one of Pacquiao's favorite sparring partners. Well, Jared Anderson is Tyson Fury's favorite sparring partner. That's the guy he wants to in camp. He's been part of 2 very successful camps, and the rumors out there that he's knocked out Tyson Fury. So for me, I'm excited. I think he'll be elevated next year to absolute a heavyweight contender.
All right. Hey, no love for Virgil Ortiz.
Next year, he shouldn't be a contender this year, right?
Well, I love Virgil too. D-Style, he absolutely was someone that I wanted to put on my list. But 2 fights, great fights, but 2 fights in 2021.
So, Dave, just to be clear, are you saying Big Baby is your prospect of the year or your contender of the year?
I think we can call him legitimately a contender. Now, the heavyweight, you know, it's going to be hard for him to get moved up the ranks that quickly, but I think he'll quickly be a contender next year in 2022.
I disagree. Joe Joyce is a contender, not Jared Anderson. Joe Joyce is a contender. Jared
Big
Anderson
Baby
is
Miller is a contender.
He beats Joe Joyce. So.
More in the process.
I don't know. Joe Joyce is pretty good.
You know what I mean? He'll take Joe Joyce was damn slow for Jared Anderson. I'm going to go on record and say that right now. You know what I mean? I'm just going to say that right now. Okay. But nonetheless, guys, we got to keep going here to the Ghost of Christmas Future. All right. Now, for this award, it is not so much the future of boxing. That's not, because that would be a prospect award. But what we're doing here, to stay with the theme of the Christmas Carol, you guys remember that that ghost, right? He was scary. He was spooky. Looked like a Grim Reaper. You know what I mean? Like, Scrooge was scared. You know what I mean? He almost gave him his grave, ladies and gentlemen. Who's the boogeyman of boxing 2021? All right? Who instills fear? Who's a Clubber Lang, basically, of boxing 2021? Like, who is it, Beeb? Who's the boogeyman? I wonder what the chat thinks, too. Who's the boogeyman?
Well, I got to tell the truth there. It's Maestro Boxing. 6'4", 240 pounds of raw power. Channel's growing. Devastating intelligence. He's a mastermind right now. I was going to say Maestro Boxing.
I appreciate that, Joe. Salute to you, brother. Appreciate it. Right back at you.
Okay. Right. Hey, award's an award. Hey, 408. We got the boogeyman, brother.
The boogeyman is Jaron Boutenas. Yes, he had only 2 fights, but nobody is signing up to fight the guy in the welterweight division. He could easily derail the dreams of Virgil Ortiz or derail the dreams of Conor Benn at getting a title shot. And he's not officially signed by Al Heyman. So to me, he is the boogeyman that everyone is avoiding at welterweight.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. Maestro, talk to us. Who's the boogeyman, brother?
Well, this is not an easy one to kind of pick. This was actually the hardest one for me, but I'm gonna have to say, and as tough as this is, I mean, I'm gonna have to say Terence Crawford. I mean, he's been trying to get a fight with the PBC guys for how long? And he's got a title, and he's literally going deep sea ocean diving, hunting, looking for Errol Spence Jr. And now Errol Spence Jr. obviously doesn't look like he's going to fight him. Terence Crawford does not seem to be able to land a major big name opponent, despite the fact that he was formerly undisputed at 140, despite the fact that he's held the welterweight title for the WBO for quite a while now. Until he gets one of these PBC guys, I'm going to have to keep him at the top of my list.
There you go. Good boxing podcast. The boogeyman, brother.
I have to echo what Maestro said. I think Terence Crawford right now is the boogeyman at 147. I don't foresee him fighting that Errol Spence anytime soon or any other top welterweight right now. I think I heard Virgil Ortiz might step up, but I can't see Crawford really fighting anyone at the top right now. He's too tough of a fight, in my opinion.
Not a creature wants to fight him. Mario, who is the boogeyman, brother? The ghost of Christmas future. Who do you got?
Yeah, I think Shoeshine nailed this one. And obviously I think Maestro and Good Boxing make great points with Crawford. But the thing is, Crawford has fought guys, at least, with Jaron Ennis. The issue with him is that his risk-reward ratio is too offset. The reward for beating a Boots Ennis really only comes in hardcore circles. The risk of fighting a Jaron Boots Ennis is that you will be shell-shocked or completely, shut out. Like, that is very possible. He's got those kinds of skills. So I don't think anybody's going to step up anytime soon with Crawford. I do think he gets a big fight in 2022. I don't know if it's against Spence or not, but I just feel like Jaron Boots Ennis is much further away on people's lists. When you start scrolling down, you got to go through like the second or third page on Google before you start finding, his name on welterweights list and even junior middleweights, I think.
Yeah, well, there you go. Kenny. Ghost of Christmas future, aka the boogeyman. You know what I mean? I'm the ghost of your future. Like, who is he? Who's the boogeyman?
Very well prepared for this one. First, I'm gonna have to go with Terence Crawford. I got a second one because everybody else said Terence Crawford, so I'm gonna go with my second choice. But I have to say, Terence Crawford is by far the biggest boogeyman in boxing. They've been icing the man out for 3 years or 2 years at the 147-pound division. He should have had these big matches, but unfortunately, they're not giving him these big matches, and they're not giving him these big matches because he will wash everybody up. He will beat all of them up. He will beat Errol Spence up. He'll beat. Put anybody in that 147-pound division up against Terence Crawford, and he's whooping all of them, including Jaron Boutenas. Jaron Boutenas, the eye test, he passes that, dramatically passes the eye test. He looks amazing. His footwork, his leg work, his boxing, he looks amazing. But Terence Crawford, I think, destroys him. Terence Crawford is on another mission in that ring. And my actual choice, since everybody else already said Terence Crawford, I'm going to have to go with Usyk. Why? Tyson Fury don't want to box Usyk. The man is talking about retiring. Nobody wants to box Usyk. Usyk is an amazing boxer in the heavyweight division, and no one wants to box him. If it wasn't because he became a mandatory so quickly and they have to box him, they would not be boxing him. Anthony Joshua would have never boxed Usyk. If it wasn't because of the publicity, the bad publicity that he would have gotten, if he would have not taken that fight with Usyk, Anthony Joshua would have never taken that fight with Usyk. Why? Because that's an extremely losable fight. And when you're at the top, as you guys said earlier, you don't want to take the risk against the extremely losable fight, the low reward, high risk fight. You don't want to take that. I'm definitely going to go with Usyk. Deontay Wilder don't want to fight Usyk. Anthony Joshua don't want to fight Usyk again. And Tyson Fury's talking about retiring. And I think that's solved. That's it. I'm done. And now
Joe Joyce was going to step up. Remember that whole debacle?
I was about to make that point too.
Yeah.
Joe Joyce has a reason to step up, though. Joe Joyce is not a champion. He's a dude who's trying to become a champion. He's right there on the cusp of being a champion. So it makes sense for Joe Joyce to chase that fight.
Good point.
The dudes that are actually champions,
like Fury, right? To tell him, Kenny, like Fury, right? Like you tell Fury fans to tell him.
He's trying to retire. The guy said, "I'm gonna retire." I don't know. I don't know if there's anything left in me for boxing. I'm thinking about retiring. Bro, you're supposed to be the biggest attraction. You beat everybody up. Stop it. You just kills the ability.
Came in the Roundtable more often.
Beat up, do
it. All right. Hey, Boxing Dev. Who's the ghost of Christmas future? Who's the boogeyman?
I have many names. In women's boxing, for example, the most avoided boxer is Delphine Persoon in the super featherweight division, and Zenith Estrada in minimum, light flyweight, and maybe super flyweight too, because he hits so hard. And on the other hand, in men's boxing, I think Lomachenko. In the lightweight division, Lomachenko is one of the most avoided fighters because he's a complete risk. He has no belt and he can beat everybody. So anybody want to fight against Loma because you are going to lose. Everybody want Cambosos because it's beatable, but not Loma. So that's the reason. Maybe in the flyweight division, Julio Cesar El Rey Martinez, he's completely avoided too because he hits so harder. And who else? Maybe I have a lot of names, but I am going to stop with the last one. That is Usyk.
Okay.
Usyk. Right. Yeah. He was an undisputed world champion in cruiserweight, and now he's in heavyweights, and he's a beast. He's an animal. He beat Joshua easily. So I think that Fury doesn't want to fight against Usyk because he's going to put him in a nightmare. That's all.
A lot of good names there. A lot of great stuff. I like Kenny just because he bashed, Fury. I mean, that just made my, I'm just saying, yeah. But look, man, ain't nobody want a piece of Virgil, bro. He done be calling out Crawford, right? Call Crawford out, right? And Crawford's like, nah, I want bigger fish to fry. And then they made up a story that supposedly they offered the Ortiz camp a fight, and Top Rank's own matchmaker said it's not true. I asked him the question personally on the Boxing Voice, we checked with Golden Boy's, matchmaker. He, said the same thing. No, there was never an offer thrown out. Let me tell you guys something right now. Virgil Ortiz is a problem. Okay? He's a problem. He's a problem for a lot of dudes. Ain't nobody in a rush to fight him. All right? I guarantee you, Spence, Crawford, and Ugas are in no rush to fight him, and neither is Boutenas. I can just tell you that right. Yeah, you heard me, B.
Boots would beat Ortiz.
Ain't no way he beats Ortiz. I'll tell you right now. Because
it's a good ass
he'll be outboxing Ortiz for like 4 rounds, and then he'll be getting work to that body, and that fight's going to turn around in the second half. I promise you that right now. But we'll get to the fight when we get to the fight, okay?
All right, buddy. Can't wait.
Boots.
Oh, yes, we're going to get to the final thoughts, but I have a question with the final thoughts, all right? First of all, shout out to the chat. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you hit my like button. If you're just in archive, hit the like button. Share this video on our social media platforms. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell button. Hit notifications so you're notified every time. Remember, the roundtable will be next week on Joe Habib's channel on Ringside Reporter, so make sure you tune in. For those wondering what's up with these awards, well, first of all, a lot of channels on here are going to have their awards, like Fight of the Year, Knockout of the Year. So I want you guys to tell everybody where they could find that if you're going to do that, like whatever platform it is. That's number one. Second, what's your Xmas Ugly Sweater Award, meaning the worst fight of the year? And give us some final thoughts, Maestro.
This is probably because it's fresh on my mind. The undercard of Beterbiev round was horrendous, and there were a lot of bad fights on that undercard to pick from. And maybe I shouldn't do this because it was a women's boxing match, but it was not just one of the worst boxing matches I've seen this year. It was one of the worst boxing matches I've ever seen, and it was for a title fight. I'm talking about Marie-Eve Descaries against Cynthia Lozano.
Yeah.
That was terrible. It was one of the worst fights I've ever seen. It should have never been a co-feature or to a main event like Beterbiev Brown. It should have never been on ESPN. It should have never been for a title fight. And it's indicative of pretty much everything that's wrong in women's boxing. The divisions are shallow. The talent runs horizontally rather than vertically. And you've got women fighting 2 or 3 or sometimes even 4 weight classes above their ideal weight just to get paid to fight in title fights. Like, there's no way this woman, that Cynthia Lozano, should be fighting a junior middleweight. I'm sorry. And the skills that were on display were really, really bad. But just so that I'm not just throwing that out there at the women, I'll also bring up Jan Pellerin against Francisco Rivas. Again, that was something that was recently watched. I saw it last Friday. Terrible fight. This was for the WBO's NABO Cruiserweight title, won by Jan Pellerin, who, by the way, I'm convinced Jake Paul can beat. So, yeah, I said it. Jake Paul has a legitimate shot at the NABO Cruiserweight title.
And Master, tell everybody what's next and all that good stuff, brother.
Oh, yeah. So we did awards. If anyone wants to talk about the big news of the day, which is apparently, and this is according to Frank Warren himself, we're going to review the video and talk about it. Take live calls. I'll drop the link in the chat. This is going to be discussed. We're talking about, looks like Fury may not defend the WBC title against White. We'll talk about why. We'll get into that. We'll get into the heavyweight division. That's happening in the next few minutes on the Roundtable Overtime.
You got any year awards coming? Any year awards, brother?
Year awards? I mean, we just been going through them, fam.
No, but like the fight of the year, fighter of the year, knockout of the year,
right?
I thought you. We'll do the mano a mano awards on Monday.
Okay, all right. There you go, guys. So check out those awards on Mano a Mano Monday. Thanks for coming on, brother, and we'll definitely be tuning into Overtime.
Absolutely,
for sure. All right, for sure. Oh yeah. All right. Hey, Boxing Dev, what was the worst fight of the year? Give us some, final thoughts.
Okay, I think Lozano against Mariab Dikair, the undercard of Better VF, it wasn't the worst fight. It was a bad performance for Lozano, but I think the worst fight in all of this year is Jean-Riel Casimero against Guillermo Rigondeaux. Oh my God, such a rubbish. My God, because on Maria of the Care and Cynthia Lozano, you have people punching another people, yeah, but on Jean-Riel Casimero and Guillermo Rigondeaux, Rigo threw, I think, 76 punches in 12 rounds. And Casimero couldn't solve the problem, which is Rigo, with Rigo's legs. So it was a horrible fight because you have you have two fighters who are in the toppest level because Rigo is one of the best in bantamweight division, and Casimero too, and you see the worst fight ever. That's all for me.
Boxing, are you doing any boxing awards or fight of the year, and all that on your channel?
Fight of the year, I think Nonito Donaire against Nordino Bali. That was
she
the fight of
she
the
gave it
year.
to us here. You know what I mean?
That was the
Right.
goal of the year, in my opinion.
Okay, but are you doing an award show on your channel by any chance?
¿Cómo? Perdón, no entendí.
An award show on your channel?
I don't know what you're saying. Sorry, I can't understand.
If there's a chance that you're gonna do an award show on your channel, so similar to what we did here today, if you're gonna do that on your channel at any point before the year ends.
Sorry, I having a problem with the audio. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
It doesn't matter.
It's okay. Well, anyway, tell everybody where they can find you.
Chicos, no estoy entendiendo lo que me estás diciendo. ¿Me puedes
Nomás
traducir?
diles, ¿no me escuchas?
No escucho bien.
Ok, nomás diles dónde te pueden encontrar en el YouTube.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, my YouTube channel is Boxing Dev, and my Twitter is Lucia Malena BD. That's all.
All right. There we go. Boxing Dev, thanks for coming on. You have a great one, okay?
Thank you so much for the invite.
Absolutely. All right. And good boxing podcast. Worst fight of the year. Give us some final thoughts. And you're going to do any type of award show or anything?
I probably will do an award show. I wasn't really planning on to, but I kind of like this, so I'll probably do one. But the worst fight for me, I'm going to echo what she said. Casimiro versus Rigondeaux. That was a hard fight, and I'm a hard fight to watch. I'm a big Rigo fan since he beat Nonito Donaire back in the day. I followed his amateur career, but that fight was god awful. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
All right, there we go, brother. And where can everybody find you?
On Instagram at Good Boxing Podcast and on YouTube, Good Boxing Podcast.
There we go. Hey, thanks for coming on, brother. We definitely appreciate it. You have a Merry Christmas, bro.
Likewise. Thank you.
There we go. Mario Munguia, tell us what's going on with you. Give us some final thoughts and give us that worst fight.
Okay, so here's the worst fight. I thought about this, right? And I'm gonna give y'all a hint. See who gets it. Ready? This is y'all's hint. Shut the fuck up, you little prick. Yeah, that was Coppinger versus Aram, which was by far the worst thing that happened in this span of 2021. Like, that was so uncalled for, right? And it went viral. It's hilarious. Like, I'm not, trying to make it all more than it was, but neither guy looked good in that situation. You know what I mean? I love Cop. He's great. One of the best in the business. But, he was goading him for a response, right? And he knew he was going to get out of Bob. I mean, that was all completely, he knew it was going to get it. Bob, bless his heart, he could not refrain from just shitting all over Cop. It was hilarious. And honestly, in all seriousness, the Rigo fight was the worst. But this, to me, showed the disparity sometimes between promotions and, the journalists that cover the sport, and the vile relationships that some of these guys have, and it's like a different flavor every week. I think D-Style said it like a few weeks ago, and he actually just said it today, you know, talking about how divisive the sport gets with certain aspects, and that was one of them. So yeah, that was to me the worst fight, you know, not in the ring, but yeah. And I am launching a podcast at the beginning of the year. We decided to wait because we're moving, and I got a new office, a new podcast, new everything. Also, I started doing stand-up, and I'm going to launch a comedy podcast at the beginning of the year as well. All that stuff. Hopefully I can come back on, D, and you know, promote that and everything when it launches. But Infighting Podcast is what it is called. Channel's up, but we just haven't, you know, obviously done anything. But yeah, we'll be going live on Friday nights. And if you're in the Texas area, follow me at Mario Munguia. I'll be in Austin, Corpus, and San Antonio trying to you know, dates for stand-up. So if you want to come and laugh at me, with me, have a couple beers, whatever, I'll be there. So thanks, D. All y'all, great stuff. Good stuff. Shoe Shine, awesome. Kenny, great as always. Beeb, you're my guy as always. D, happy holidays, fellas.
All right, man. Have a good one, brother. Shoe Shine, talk to us. Give us your final thoughts. And tell us the worst fight of the year. And are you doing any type of award show or anything like that?
Actually, my best fight of the year was on Monday. We did that, and I think it's undisputed. That was Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 3. They can go back and check out that show. I'll drop a link to it. But the worst fight of the year, you know, there were some great choices that the panelists made today. But for me, it was Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather. Because what it did was set a precedent for the rest of the year about these damn celebrity fights, exhibition matches, and it was nothing but a cash grab by Floyd Mayweather. One in which he tarnished his legacy, but he also embarrassed himself and let some YouTubers essentially basically ridicule him. They ridiculed him. They laughed at him. I mean, he was the butt of the joke. Here's a guy who's, you know, one of the greatest of all times of our generation, and basically being humiliated by the next generation of YouTube stars. So, and I think he absolutely has been fueling this rush towards Showtime, you know, putting on Jake Paul as a star. So to me, that was the worst fight of the year, specifically when you got friends that don't watch boxing and ask you how they should bet. And then you got to explain to them that it's an exhibition. You can't legally bet on an exhibition. You know, can you bet on a wrestling pro match? No, you can't. All right. So that was it, man. By the way, thanks a lot, D-Styles. I am one of the newest shows, members of the HCP family. Was started off as a kind of a slow year in boxing, kind of disappointing with all the, you know, COVID delays and whatnot. Turned out to be a really great year toward the end of the year, November and December. And I hope to move that momentum with my show and the HCP family, The Shoe Shine, on Monday nights. Thanks a lot. Everybody have a beautiful and blessed Christmas.
Absolutely. Shout out to you, brother. Have a good one, man. All right, everybody, The Shoe Shine. Check them out. Chauncey Pearls, Merry Christmas to the panel. Everyone enjoy your families and be safe. Hey, the same to you, brother. I appreciate it very, very much. Kenny, worst fight of the year. Final thoughts. Talk to us.
Worst fight of the year by far, in my opinion, has to be Vitor Belfort versus Evander Holyfield. I was actually looking forward to seeing De La Hoya go in the ring and get his ass beat, but it didn't happen. Unfortunately, we got a very washed up Holyfield. He was very out of shape, had a hard time breathing, was barely throwing punches. He should have never been in the ring. That could have actually turned out to be a very bad situation. Luckily, Holyfield did not have to go to hospital, did not get brutally knocked out. Nothing bad happened, and the man is still very good. I met the guy. He's a cool dude.
Well, there you go.
For the end of the year, I'm considering doing a show. I'm trying to do I started doing a podcast this year thanks to the support of D-Style, Milcar, Joe Habib, and everybody else in the HCP that's been supporting. I definitely got inspired to do a show. I started doing a show called No Cap Boxing Recap. I do it every Wednesdays. And I may do one final end of the year recap for the full year. I'm not sure if I have enough data to do it yet. I'm working on data. If I get all the data down and family allows me to do so, lots of kids in the family, and family allows me to do so, I'll definitely get that show and I'll post it. And I'd like to have as many people join me as possible. Thank you for having me. Follow me on YouTube, Knocked Out by Kenny. Thank you so much. You all have a great night. Thank you, D-Style. Thank you, Joe Habib. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate everybody.
Absolutely. Long live boxing. Very Merry Christmas to everyone. Enjoy your family and friends. Much love and respect. HCP 100. Fists, Puerto Rican, Mexican, American flag. Shout out to you, brother. Much appreciated. Check them out on 12 noon Eastern. Okay, on Sundays here on the HCP Network. So make sure you guys check them out on their channels and subscribe to Long Live Boxing. Joe Habib. Last but not least, you know what I mean? Hey, worst fight of the year, brother.
It ain't about how hard you get hit. It's about how hard you get hit and you keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. The worst fight of the year was definitely Casemiro versus Rigondeaux. It was just very hard to watch. I remember Calix was doing a live cast on it.
Oh, it's on with him, man.
Yeah. Oh, you were on that fight? I couldn't remember if you were on that or not. And it was hilarious. Calix was just giving Casemiro rounds just because of Rigondeaux just not doing anything. It was hilarious. We will be doing a year-end show on Ringside Reporter Live this Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We always do a year-end awards show. I have to say, I'm being honest, and I'm not just saying this because I was on the show tonight, but this was the best one that I've ever done. I like the topics. That this was definitely different. I enjoyed it. I like the way this show was put together. I have to say, this is probably the best roundtable we've ever done. I really enjoyed this show tonight. I think it went really smooth. I looked at my clock, and the time was gone. It just, that's how good this show was. It just flew. It seems like we've only been on like an hour, but we've been on for almost 2 hours and 15 minutes. So thank you as always for having me, and I look forward to doing the show next week.
Absolutely, man. And you guys can do an award show, Ringside Reporter?
Yeah, Sunday we're going to do it. So
there you go. Sunday, Ringside Reporter, 6 p.m. Eastern. You guys make sure you tune in. Have a good one, brother.
All right, man. Catch you.
All right, guys. I appreciate everybody that tuned in. The link to Overtime is in the chat. Make sure you go over there, man. Show support to my answer. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I want to thank everybody for showing support, for being here. It's crazy in the chat sometimes, but it's all good, man. I'm all about freedom of speech, so it is what it is. Do your thing, but just don't get mad when I let others do their thing. That's all I'm going to say. You know what I mean? I want to give a shout out to the whole entire HCP network. And if you haven't already, check out the lineup for Mano a Mano, 8 p.m. Eastern, to Power Punchers, 9:30 p.m., to the Shoe Shine, 10:30 p.m., to Al Chile, 2 p.m., HCP, podcast, 9 p.m., this is our Eastern times, right? Wednesday, 9 p.m., Women Crushing the Wednesday. Of course, a roundtable, we alternate it. So next week it'll be on Ringside Reporter. Sunday, of course, Long Live Boxing. Make sure you guys check them out. That's where I'll be, noontime next, every Sunday. Make sure you check them out. I know you'll be crudo from all that eggnog with tequila, but nonetheless, or Noche Buenas, but make sure you tune in. And of course, 6 p.m. Eastern, a lot of these channels are going to be doing year-end awards. So not your typical year-end awards. It wasn't Fight of the Year, Prospect of the Year, and all that, because all these channels are going to do their own awards, right? But I wanted to, just try something different here. Shout out to everybody that has been showing support and that has supported HCP this year. And I have more to say. Because we're on next week as well. So make sure you stay tuned for that one. For now, go over to Maestro Boxing for Overtime. I'll be there. Right? This is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. I'm out.